The meeting for the County of Brant Committee of Adjustment is now to start at 6 p.m. and it is a hybrid meeting. People will be attending online. Good evening, members of the committee, applicants, agents, staff, and members of the public. As this meeting is also being held virtually, I will remind you that meeting is being recorded and streamed live via the County of Brant YouTube account. Committee of Adjustment members joining online should use their cameras throughout the meeting so that applicants, agents, and members of the public can identify the voting members and we can confirm you are present throughout the meeting. Planning staff will be requested to join the meeting during presentations and will be available to answer questions. Applicants, agents, owners, and delegations are also participating virtually. All persons wishing to speak to the items on the agenda were required to register prior to the meeting. Any comments, questions, or concerns received in written format have been provided to the members of the committee and will form part of the meeting record. Applicants, agents, and members of the public, please ensure your camera is off, your microphone is on mute throughout the meeting, and your name is correct on the Zoom screen. When called upon to speak, please remember to unmute your microphone and turn on your camera before speaking. Those presenting as delegations will have 10 minutes to speak to the application at hand, not past applications or associated applications. In the event a connection or service interruption occurs that affects quorum of Committee of Adjustment, we may recess the meeting for up to 15 minutes to regain quorum. If quorum is not achieved, the meeting is adjourned. If you are present in council chambers this evening and wish to speak, please come to the podium and speak into the microphone. I will now review the meeting procedures. This meeting is held in accordance with the provision of the Planning Act. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss minor variance and consent applications and give anyone in attendance the opportunity to ask questions, provide comments related to an application. Notice of this meeting was provided by mail and signed posted by staff as required by the Planning Act. A copy of the meeting agenda, including the staff report, related materials, and comments received are available on the County of Brant website. Once the presentations, public hearing, and question period are complete for each item, if the committee deems it appropriate, they will make a decision. Each committee decision is final following the 20-day appeal period. Please note the sign-in sheet at the entrance. If you are attending in person and wish to be notified of any decision from this evening, kindly note your name and address and application on the sign-in sheet. If you do not request a copy on the sign-in sheet, you will not be notified. The names of those individuals who speak on any item tonight will appear within the meeting minutes. Anyone wishing to receive further notice or a copy of the committee's decision, please contact the County of Brant Planning Department. The order of delegation are as follows: Planning staff report and recommendation, applicant and agent presentation, questions and discussions, public comments, further questions of clarification, decision. Immediately following the Committee of Adjustment meeting this evening, we will have a property standard appeal. I will now call attendance. Please indicate by stating present if you are in attendance. Mary Jane Brown, present. Harry Emmett,
present.
Bob Hamilton,
Present.
Jan Panay, absent, will note. Rebecca Smith,
present.
Steve Schmidt,
Present.
John Vamus.
Present.
Thank you, members. We'll now move to item 2, approval of the agenda, but I would like to note that there has been an application withdrawn, which was application 6.2 for 347 6th Concession Road. So any people wishing to speak to this. This application is not being addressed tonight. I'll now request approval of the agenda. Do any members have any items to be added to the agenda? I believe there are none. May I request a mover and a seconder? Member Schmidt, you'll make the motion to approve. Do I have a second? Member Emmett, can you please give the motion?
Moved by myself that we approve the minutes or the agenda as presented with the exception of the second item that was withdrawn.
Thank you. Members, please indicate if you are in favor of this motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Panag. We'll note now in the minutes that Member Panag is present. Member Vamus.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Hamilton.
Yes.
And Brown. Yes. The motion has carried. The agenda has been approved for this evening. We will now move to item 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any members who would like to declare a conflict of interest for any items on the agenda this evening? It appears there are none. So I will now, and if there were, they would move aside when we hear it. I will now move to item 4, adoption of minutes from previous meeting. Do the committee members have any errors or omissions to note? It appears there are none. Do we have a mover and seconder for this motion? Member Emmett, seconder. Member Hamilton, could you please provide the motion?
It's moved by myself and seconded by Member Hamilton that the minutes of the December 16th meeting of the Committee of Adjustment be approved as presented.
Thank you. Members, please indicate if you are in favor of the motion, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Panay. Yes. Member Vamus.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Hamilton.
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The minutes from the previous meeting have now been adopted. I will now introduce item 6.1 for application A38-22-AA and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the report and recommendation. Just a minute in here. Am I not supposed to vote it? You're probably just.
Good evening, Committee of Adjustment and members of the public. This is a minor variance application for the lands located at 10 Jane Street. The subject lands are located west of Baird Street in Paris. The minor variance application is required to permit the extension of a legal non-complying use under Section 45(2) of the Planning Act. The existing dwelling has a legal non-complying rear yard setback of 2.21 meters. The applicant is proposing an addition to the dwelling with a setback of 2.51 meters, whereas the bylaw now requires a minimum of 6 meters. The subject lands are zoned built-in cultural heritage area, residential singles and semis within the County of Brant zoning bylaw. A sunroom is permitted within the residential zone. All other requirements for a single detached dwelling as per the bylaw are being satisfied. The subject lands are designated urban residential in the County of Brant official plan. The proposed addition is in keeping with the characteristics of the surrounding area, with dwellings of similar reduced setbacks. The dwelling is on municipal services, and no adverse impacts are expected to the adjacent land uses or human health and well-being as part of the addition, as well as no public comments have been received. I'm in support of this variance application as it is in keeping with the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. No impacts are expected for adjacent land uses as well as human health and well-being. I'm recommending approval for the minor variance application, subject to the attached conditions with verifications of the south property line. Thank you and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Arwa, for the presentation. Does the committee have any questions or comments for this application to staff? Member Smith? I just have one question. In the photographs which accompanied it, is the proposed sunroom going to approximately end where the old deck was? Or that's on the rear? I didn't go round to the back of the property, so it's just on the back?
Yeah, towards the side yard. I believe on the side yard, on the back of the property.
So the old deck will be removed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Committee? Is the agent or the applicant? Yes?
They're here.
Could you please stand up and provide your name? Thank you. Do you have any further comments to add to the staff report? No? And you recognize the conditions attached and
Yes, we have submitted a survey of the back line property that was requested.
thank you. Do the committee members have any comments or questions to the applicant? It appears there are none, so I will now ask and there are no final comments or questions to staff either. Then I'll request of the committee for a motion on this. Member Hamilton, what would your motion be?
I move that application A38-22-AA be approved because it is minor in nature and it does follow the County of Brant official plan and zoning bylaws.
Thank you for the motion. Is there a second? Member Schmidt, I'll now call the vote, starting with Member Emmett.
Yes.
Member Penag. Yes. Member Vamus.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Hamilton.
Yes.
And Brown, yes. The motion has carried. The application has been approved. Thank you, Arwa. Since item 6.2 on the agenda has been withdrawn, I'll note that the next meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is scheduled to be for February 16th, 2023, and again will be a hybrid meeting starting at 6 o'clock p.m. May I please get a motion to adjourn this meeting? Member Emmett, do we have a second? Member Vamus, can you please provide the motion?
Moved by myself and seconded by Member Vamus that tonight's meeting be adjourned.
Thank you. All those in favor, please state yes.
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 Member Smith?
Yes.
I now declare the meeting adjourned.